So 250 years ago, right now, the revolution was well underway. The American Revolution had been started. The Continental Congress was meeting in this building, Independence Hall. And one thing I've been doing every day is just checking letters that the Founding Fathers wrote back and forth to each other. So I figured I'd check today and see if I find anything interesting and share it with you. I've got my laptop right here. So I'm gonna be looking down and checking for letters. Okay, we are going to read letters from June 28th, 1775 today. It looks like there are 3 letters. Now we're on my porch because it's too rainy and I got rained out when I went to Independence Hall. So we are going to read first. Let's see what we have. We have Dr. Dibley and Stringer's bill for care of John Adams' horses. So it's a bill. We have John Thaxter to John Adams. And we have to George Washington from John Hook. So that sounds like the most interesting. We'll save that for last. But actually, John Thaxter could also be very interesting. So let's start with the bill. Ooh, interesting. So this is a bill for care of John Adams' horses from the Diary of John Adams. Dibley and Stringer's bill for care of John Adams' horses. John Adams, Esquire, Doctor to William Dibley and Stringer, 1775. To hay for 2 horses, oats. Ditto on July 2nd. Hay, oats, ditto, oats, shoeing, hay. 5 days to July 9th. Oat, 5 days to July 9th. Trimming horse, hay, oats, hay, oats, hay, oats. It's all hay and oats. That's basically it. So it was received on August 1st within 1775. The within account is full to the 3rd instant. William Dibley. If the date is correct, let's read this footnote. If the date is correct, John Adams did not leave Philadelphia until 3rd of August, which would make his return to Braintree, where he evidently arrived on the 9th, a fast trip indeed. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Interesting. 15 for 5 days here, but 10 days was 1 and 10. And 10 days of oats was 13 and 4. Yeah. So maybe they were giving him a bit of a discount, seems like. Not unclear. 4 days is 12. 5 days is 15. Okay, interesting. Next, let's read this letter from John Thaxter to John Adams. It's a little long, so let's get started. John Thaxter to John Adams, Braintree, June 28th, 1775. Dear Sir, one of the many brave and gallant actions that have graced our arms, I take the liberty of writing you an account of. The most important transactions since your absence you are undoubtedly already informed of. But as this I am about to relate is just come to hand, I embrace the opportunity of sending you an account of it by the express. Not long before the date of this, General Gage dispatched 2 sloops with provision to Machias under the convoy of a tender. This provision was to be exchanged for lumber and other articles. Stephen and Ichabod Jones, the contractors, had made application to the town to supply the army and navy with lumber. One of the traders was taken prisoner and the other fled to the blank in imitation of the colonel, perhaps. The contractors being made prisoners, the captain of the tender threatened instant demolition of the town. if there was not an immediate resignation among of them, and springs were put to the cables for that end. Springs were put to the cables for that end. If you know what that means, leave a comment. The inhabitants, neither intimidated by the abuses they had previously received from the sloop's crews, nor the brutum fulmen of the captain, retained the prisoners, upon which a few martial civilities passed between both parties, but finding our fire too hot, they put to sea. The Machias people, determined on a capture of the tender, boarded the sloops, armed them with implements of war and husbandry, and sailed after her, and soon came up with her, when an engagement ensued, in which our men, as usual, proved victorious. The tender had 12 swivels, it is said. The captain and 3 men, besides many wounded, fell on their part. Also Robert Avery of Norwich, a prisoner, was unfortunately killed. Two or three with several wounded fell on our part. What men remained on board the tender were taken prisoners. This was the tragical end of their intended exchange. A few days agone arrived at Nantucket, after 7 weeks' passage, a vessel from England. One of the passengers, viz. Mr. William Palfrey, brought letters from some of our enemies in England for our refugees. He carried them to Watertown, and they were read in Congress. There was one from that infamous parricide Hutchinson to his son, wherein he says, quote, he hopes the contest will soon be settled, that he may come and spend the remainder of his days at Milton, end quote. This letter is secret and confidential, it is to be supposed. Mr. Blowers and Bliss write to Leonard, Taylor, and Amories, and the Amories and others. They lash us with infatuation, delusion, cowardice. They prophesy no resistance at all, and an ineffectual one, as will be crushed with the greatest facility. Their prophecy will not become history. In the same vessel came one camel of ensign of ... regiment, who upon a narrative of the battles utterly refused to go to Boston. He was told he might be exchanged for one of our men, a prisoner in town. No, he would not. He says he did not come to fight. At present, he is at Watertown, complimented with a guard. Mr. Duncan Ingram, another passenger, says they are very peaceable in England now, but gives it as his opinion when the news of the Lexington battle reaches there, it will throw the nation into the greatest convulsions imaginable. We hear General Washington is expected very soon. Almost every tongue is applauding the wisdom of the appointment, and almost every arm is expanded to receive him. From present appearances, we have reason to believe there will be such a reception as will give a most weighty confirmation to the appointment. Master cleverly duplicates Tendon's second Sidera Palmas, unquote, exclaims, as usual, against Congress's Novanglus's pieces, etc. The least justification of them or of one measure that has been adopted will close his eyes and set his head vibrating. Desponding fears have not yet seized him. The prospect of your meadow as a gratuity for his bigotry and persecuting zeal buoys up his spirits. I am sorry to inform you that our company does not continue their exercise. Not once have they met since your absence. We want you, sir, to animate us. My father and mother send their respects to you and wish you better health. Please to accept this and my wishes for a restoration of your health, and the following toast lately given by Colonel Orne, quote, may the justice of Britain disarm every American, end quote. From, sir, your most obedient servant, John Thaxter. Let's read some footnotes. Footnote number 2, the action of 11th and 12th of June resulting in the capture of the British vessel Margareta by the mariners of the Machias was the first sea fight of the Revolution, and much has accordingly been written about it. See French, first year, page 360 to 361. Let's read number 5. Joseph Cleverly, Harvard, 1733, John Adams' old schoolmaster. He was a devout Anglican and was strongly loyalist in his politics. But despite some threats against him, he was not forced to leave Braintree during the Revolution. Okay, finally, let's read To George Washington from John Hancock. 28th of June, 1775, Philadelphia. Sir, by direction of the Congress, I now transmit you several resolutions passed yesterday, by which you will observe they have directed Major General Schuyler to examine into the state of the posts at Ticonderoga and Crown Point, and of the troops stationed there, as also to inquire into the disposition of the Canadians and Indians. You will likewise find they have directed him to take or destroy all vessels, boats, or floating batteries prepared by Governor Carleton on or near the waters of the lakes, and to take possession of St. John's of Montreal if he finds it practicable, and not disagreeable to the Canadians. The alteration of the sentiments of Congress since your departure relative to making an impression into Canada was occasioned by a letter they received from the Committee of Albany, a copy of which you have enclosed. They gave their directions upon these important matters directly to Major General Schuyler, as he would be near the posts above mentioned, and as their being sent to you would occasion such delay as might prove detrimental to the service. I send you the remainder of the commissions signed. Should you have occasion for more, please acquaint me, and they shall be immediately transmitted to you. Brigadier General Gates, not yet arrived in the city, I expect him tomorrow, and shall deliver him his commission and promote his joining you as soon as possible. Enclosed is a letter from him. With my best wishes for every personal happiness and success in all your undertakings, I have the honor to be, Sir, your most obedient, humble servant, John Hancock, President. Okay, here's a footnote. Footnote number 1. On 1st of June, the day after Congress resolved to garrison Ticonderoga and Crown Point, it forbade military action, quote, by any colony or body of colonists against or into Canada. The matter, nevertheless, continued to be discussed in the ensuing weeks, quote, whether we should march into Canada with an army sufficient to break the power of Governor Carleton, to overawe the Indians and to protect the French has been a great question, John Adams wrote to James Warren on 7th of June. It seems to be the general conclusion that it is best to go if we can be assured that the Canadians will be pleased with it and join. The issue was settled by the 4 resolutions of the 27th of June. Schuyler was directed to seize not only St. John and Montreal, if he could, and the French Canadians did not object, but also to take, quote, any other parts of the country and pursue any other measures in Canada which may have a tendency to promote the peace and security of these colonies, end quote. The letter, dated 21st of June from the Albany Committee of Safety, which prompted the change, asserted that the Caughnawaga Indians had taken up the hatchet on behalf of the king, and that Governor Carleton was giving them presents daily. The committee also reported that Carleton was building floating batteries and boats at St. Jean, but that his preparations had been hampered by the refusal of English merchants at Montreal, quote, to take up arms against the Yankees, end quote. On this date, Hancock sent a copy of the Albany Committee's letter and Congress's resolutions of 27th June to Schuyler at New York. The copies of those documents that Hancock enclosed in his letter to George Washington are in DLC George Washington. Guy Carleton, a career soldier with the rank of Major General in the British Army, was appointed Governor of Quebec on 10th of January 1775 and served until 1778. At this time, he had 400 or 500 regulars defending the strategically important town of Saint Jean, 15 miles east of Montreal. The 2 armed sloops under construction there are for use on the Richelieu River and Lake Champlain. His attempt to call out the militia on 9th of June was defied by both the English merchants and the French inhabitants. Carleton served as British Commander-in-Chief in America from May 1782 to November 1783 and was again Governor of Quebec between 1786 and 1796. He was created Baron Dorchester in 1786. Number 2, the enclosed letter may have been that of 22nd of June, 1775, from Horatio Gates to George Washington, which we read. Okay, there you go. If you enjoyed those letters from the Founding Fathers on the 28th of June, 1775, please like and subscribe and leave a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.